Welcome back, everyone. I am Mama Robin, and this is Friday Night Live. Um, I want to give a quick update because I've had a lot going on that people have been knowing about. Um, when, I think I gave a basic update Wednesday night. Yeah. There's been a lot going on with my daughter, but she's coming down. Her and her boyfriend are coming down next weekend to see me. So there will not be a Friday Night Live next Friday night because I have my daughter coming to see me, my daughter and and her boyfriend. But what I did want to come on here tonight is we're going to go back into Lady Bird Lake. We're going to talk about another death. Now, when we talk about Lady Bird Lake, most of the time they seem to be related. There's been a few here and there that aren't, but most of them seem to be related. The one we're going to talk about tonight, like I said, isn't. And I didn't, at the time I announced this on Wednesday, I didn't have any information on the most recent victim. So I didn't know if it was related or not. But I have information on the most recent victim, and I can assure you it's not related. But let's get into that. Let's find out a little bit about what happened. Okay. So let's get into that. Alrighty. The article starts out: search for missing persons at major Texas lake meets deadly end. So we have that. I'm going to tell you right now. They're going to give you his name, and I'm going to butcher it. I'm going to try not to, but it's going to be butchered. Because I already looked at the name and went, can't do this. We're going to try. So if anybody hears it and they know I butchered it, I am sorry. I really am. But actually, let's do this. Let's do this. If my camera was working. There we go. See, just takes me a minute sometimes. Okay, the Austin Police Department has identified the person found in Lady Bird Lake. It was 45-year-old Hinnock Gabriel Watt. I am not sure. I don't know I did that right. I think I messed that up. But essentially, he was a paddleboarder. So while it was another death at Lady Bird Lake, it didn't have anything to do with the current deaths. It doesn't have any connection because it is a paddleboarder. So let's get into this just a tiny bit. The search for a missing person in a major central lake has ended. A paddleboarder who fell into the waters of Lady Bird Lake in Austin was found dead on Sunday, May 4th. The Austin police dive team located the paddleboarder, and the Austin Travis County EMS pronounced them deceased on the scene at 12:35 p.m. Sunday, according to ATC EMS posts on X or Twitter. Okay. This came after a search for the paddleboarder began the day prior. So, as I said, this really, really had nothing to do with it. It was a paddleboarder. He apparently fell off his board. He drowned. It happens. So when Ford Sanders, which is who I follow, he's a journalist that I follow on Instagram. When he did this story, he didn't have any information yet. He didn't give the person's name yet. He just said we had another death. So of course, I started looking into it. That is the other death. But again, he's not. Well, I'm not trying to lump it in with the others because it obviously has nothing to do with them. But I have been noticing something else too. Now we do find most of our bodies in the wintertime. Now, a lot of them have been found in like January, February, sometimes in March. As a matter of fact, we had a body. A 47-year-old woman, was found in March. Here's something else I'm going to try to keep an eye on because I am curious about this. Now, again, most of these have been happening in the colder months. First of all, Lady Bird Lake, you're not allowed to swim in it. And second of all, it would be during the colder months when you wouldn't want to swim in it anyway. But we did have one about mid-March. At the same time that this body was found, we'd also had South by Southwest, which is a big, and I mean big music festival in Austin. So since Lady Bird Lake is in Austin, that was a music festival in Austin. I want to be very careful how I do this. Just let me do what I'm doing here. I'm going to try to say it correct. I'm not saying that they're connected. They might be, or they might not be. They probably are not. But with them seemingly happening more often, and now we're getting them later in the year, I am curious if there's a possibility that we will start seeing more as the weather's warm up and we have more music festivals out here. I'm wondering if we will see more, because with more music festivals brings more people partying. That's just standard. That's just what happens. So I know we had South by Southwest back in middle March. And it's a big festival. It's like 2 weekends, I think. We do have a small one coming up over Memorial Day weekend, called Illfest Music and Art Festival. It's May 30th and May 31st. So that'll be coming up soon. I kind of want to see if anything happens. Like, I don't think that the lady that was found dead, one, because it was a woman. So I don't think the lady found dead in March has any connection to it. But I am starting to wonder now if maybe this is going to bring more people. I doubt it, because as I just said, most of them are happening in the warmer months, but in the colder months. But now that we're seeing like March, mid-March is kind of late for us. I think previously the warmest it was, or the later, like it's typically been December, January, February. The one that happened in March, that was a little odd. There was also a music festival. So I'm starting to wonder if maybe if there'll be a slight change in what's been happening. So there is a new festival coming up, like I said, May 30th and 31st. There will also be the Willie Nelson 4th of July cookout on 4th of July. And then Austin City Limits is another big festival, and it's coming up in October. So I'm kind of curious to see if anything happens. But since that's all we have on this particular person, since that's all I have on him, and it's not a related incident, I thought we would watch a video of a survivor. There has been one person that's been a survivor. So let's go ahead and get into that.
I fractured 7 vertebrae, and they had to be connected with screws and rods to stabilize my back.
Jeff Jones.
When they found me, I was also hemorrhaging internally, and I had stopped the bleeding.
Here's what's going on. And at first, I'm going to be honest, I thought it was a bunch of BS until I started really digging into the research. But there is, from what some people would say, a serial killer running around Austin, Texas.
Keep Austin weird, you know?
Yeah, keep Austin, yeah. Specifically, one part of Texas, which I think is Rainey Street.
Mm-hmm.
Numerous male bodies found submerged in Lady Bird Lake, which is the lake right there. It's a small lake. It is man-made. I kind of looked up the history. It used to cool like this power plant type of thing.
Oh, okay.
But all male.
Oh,
Of course.
So is this up to date?
Mostly.
At my last job, we used to...
No robberies or what.
The all male, if you've been watching this with me, that's not entirely correct. There have been a couple of women, but I don't think the women are connected. So they are essentially right, but I'm just trying to make sure that all the facts are out there and everybody understands. There have been a couple of women, probably not connected, but hell, who knows?
Whatever. And they all were accidental drownings or suicides. They're all Jeff's ages. our age type of, and all went from the bar somewhere and ended up separated from their group and now into the water.
So, I mean, how far away is this body of water from said like bars where people are just like stumbling in drunk potentially?
Very close. It's right near downtown. You could easily stumble to it. And then there's also some little rivers and creeks that lead to it from the area. So you could potentially float your way down there. A lot of the bodies aren't found for a number of days after they disappear. So it's hard to kind of identify where they came from necessarily.
Is it so? When you said float down, like floating down, is it a body of water where people are going like tubing, and that's like they're taking their coolers type thing, or
no? It's actually, I don't think you can swim in Lady Bird for some reason. I don't know if it's a safety precaution or whatnot, but you can bring in smaller type boats, but no like speed boats and no swimming. So yeah, it wouldn't be something that you would choose to.
And of course, real quick, there is also paddleboarding. That's most recent victim was paddleboarding.
It wouldn't be a body what you choose to get into.
His story is, number one, is traumatic, but is also really important because there is something going on, 100%. And Jeff happens to be
a survivor?
One survivor, and there's not many. There are a few survivors, but Jeff is one. And you can take it away, man.
Yeah, so...
Sorry you had to tell the story twice today.
I'll go through it again. I got a rehearsal run earlier. But so I was going down to Austin with a group of friends for a bachelor party. There was probably 12 or 15 guys from around the U.S. But a lot of people from here from Boston. That's where the groom is from. And we flew down there on a Thursday. The group from Boston, about 6 or 7 of us on the same plane. Got there midday, got to our Airbnb. We were hanging out at the pool. Things were normal. We were having some drinks, but nothing too wild. I certainly remember everything. But we were staying outside the city a bit at an Airbnb that was, had a big, because there's a lot of us, so a big area, a lot of rooms, space, pool, things like that for the week.
Gotcha.
For the week.
Okay.
So we were waiting around until everybody arrived, and then we decided to go to dinner. We went to a place called Iron Cactus for dinner, and that's where my memory really starts to pretty much go to zero. But we, were behaving as you normally would, having drinks throughout dinner and after dinner, but nothing too crazy. And we then went to a bar called the Rustic Tap, and then to a bar called Play, which is right on West 6th Street, where a lot of these disappearances occur. The last time I saw my group was around 1 o'clock in the morning. Supposedly we were talking to some people we had made some new friends, chatting as the night goes. I was pretty much coherent, but all of a sudden they realized that I wasn't there any longer, and that they'd seen me with a few people recently, but they were people that we didn't know. And then they couldn't find me, so they called me, and I was speaking like basically incoherently on the phone. I couldn't tell them where I was or what I was doing. And then I stopped responding. They called a number of times more after that, and then my phone went dead.
Oh my God. So you don't remember. So like it starts to get hazy while you're, a little after dinner, like normal drinks is what you recall. Like you don't recall it's not like you were drinking straight tequila from the bottle. Maybe you were, but like you don't think you did anything outrageous until then.
Right, at a reasonable level that we would do any other night.
And this was last year, about 9 months ago.
Oh wow, okay.
Yeah, so this is 2023.
Recent. This is really recent.
Yeah, when I told you all those bodies were popping up. I mean, they've been popping up, but now it's an epidemic.
Yeah, if you look back, there's a lot of people who disappeared over last summer. It was a high disappearance rate.
Like just in the last year. It's not like this is over a 20-year period necessarily.
It's been happening, though. If you do some research, it has been happening periodically, but it seems like the numbers are ramping up. And there's been a lot of stories of people being not necessarily, getting killed, but they end up very drunk or roofied or potentially roofied, and there's a lot of people that end up saying that they had to be dragged home and they got way drunker than they ever do, and something happened that was abnormal. So there's a lot of those stories coming out of Austin. So
wow. So
yeah.
So you were You remember being at a location. You don't remember getting separated from your group of friends,
No,
and you don't even remember making these calls.
no. At that point, I don't have any real recollection. It's just from what my friends told me later on.
Another damn commercial.
That's so weird. It's like, I mean, especially being in such a big group, like how would someone just, get someone, especially someone 6'3", to just kind of leave
Mm-hmm.
the group?
Mhm.
I mean, honestly, it seems like it's coordinated.
It
It
is.
wasn't one person that did this. This was a coordinated effort.
I would think that it looks more like kind of some sort of group of people who identify someone, isolate them from the group, probably try to rob them once they're incoherent,
Hmm.
and send them on their way.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
Seems more kind of like that than it is a specific serial killer. It's more
Yeah.
there's more of a criminal, function going on of some sort.
Yeah, that makes sense. And I could see the popularity of the location too, right? And it's kind of similar here in Charleston. It's a huge, spring break area or bachelorette area, for that sort of thing.
Same as that area in Austin. I mean, yeah. So they could be targeting people that are already, a little easier to fool, or open to distraction.
Vulnerable,
They've already
right?
been-
Distracted, drinking, all the things.
Right.
Not from around there.
Right. Yeah.
Okay, so your phone goes dead after your friends are trying to call you, and you are answering the phone, so you have it at some point. But did you lose your phone, or did your phone die, or what happened
I
there?
think it just died. We had been, we'd been hanging out all day, so I assume my phone just died at some point.
Hmm.
So anyway, my friends assume I'm okay. They figure out they'll see me in the morning. But they go back, don't hear of anything in the morning. I'm not there, so they start calling police stations and hospitals, and end up locating me at a local hospital that's pretty close to Rainy Street where we were drinking. So they come to find me. One of them actually said that he was my cousin, so that because they only let family members come in, and they got in. So what they found was my side of the story, where I had basically only made it about 2 blocks from the bar that we were at, and somehow ended up at the bottom of a ravine. Had fallen about 25 feet off of a bridge.
Holy shit.
Landed next to a river that leads down to Lady Bird Lake.
Holy shit!
Yes. It's a very wide side. The side of the bridge is about 3 or 4 feet wide. It's an old stone bridge, so it would have been very difficult for me to. I almost would have had to throw myself off of the bridge intentionally. It's very hard to believe that I somehow fell off of it myself.
I mean, it would have required you climbing over something.
Right. It would have had to. I would have had to put in effort to get off of that bridge on my own.
Hey, Jeff,
Whoa.
I'm gonna show.
Now, what I was going to say is some of the bodies are found near that bridge and some of them are not. But he's got a valid point. That particular bridge, you would practically have to throw yourself off of it to do it. You're just not staggering and fall down. Or you've been thrown off the bridge, which many of us have talked about this, have suspected.
Show 'em, the picture you sent me. Is that okay?
Yeah, go for it.
This is what falling off a bridge does.
Oh
Holy
my
shit.
word!
I mean, you literally have contractor screws in there. Literally. I mean, it's terrible, man. This is your back, obviously. Can you tell us a little bit?
Oh my god!
Yeah, so I fractured 7 vertebrae.
Oh my God.
And they had to be connected with screws and rods to stabilize my back. That was surgery that took place 2 days after the fall. When they found me, I was also hemorrhaging internally. I punctured a lung, and my spleen was bleeding out, so they had to do emergency surgery on my stomach and remove my spleen and sewed up some things in there and stopped the bleeding. Yep.
Damn. How are you doing now? I know I want to get back to the story, but how is your back and your recovery? That's massive.
I know, like, very lucky that I was able to make a very quick recovery, and I actually was in the hospital. I mean, I was in an induced coma for about a week, and then had some
Oh
other
my
complications.
goodness.
I ended up being able to get out about 2.5 weeks later. I got pneumonia. It was a whole ordeal, but
Jesus
Oh
Christ.
my god, damn, you are seriously lucky to be alive.
I know I was telling John I never really contemplated my own mortality at all before this, but you know, it really hits you hard when you realize how close I was to.
How high was the fall?
He was about 24, 25 feet. So,
Yeah.
and I also broke my scapula, which is your shoulder
Yeah.
bone. And I
Wow.
was found at about 4:30 in the morning. There was an anonymous call that they saw someone at the bottom of a bridge, and that's how they found me, which I'm so happy that someone did. But
Wow.
also a strange twist to the story, right? Like, who's finding someone at the bottom of a bridge
At 4:30
at
in the
4 in the
morning.
morning? It's a little.
Homeless
Yeah.
person?
So the whole story is interesting, but very, very happy that I'm here, obviously, and I've started working out again recently. I've been able to start running, and those rods are actually going to get removed in June. Shockingly,
Wow.
they don't stay in you for your life. So yeah.
So
Oh, that's great.
he did have tests done, like toxicology. Do you want to talk about that? I have your report here. I can bring it up too.
Yeah, I sent you over what I found. So they did a tox report, and I didn't have any drugs in my system except for a benzo, which is basically Rufalin is in the
It's like
benzodiazepine family.
GHB.
So
Holy
somebody
shit,
drugged
so they
him.
did find something.
So I was drugged.
He was drugged.
Holy shit.
Okay,
He was.
hold on. So this
Yeah,
All
man,
right, you know for a
Whoops.
fact it's
I
either
messed
count
up.
too many or mixed drink.
okay, so this man was drugged. He was pulled from Lady Bird Lake and he had been drugged, and they know it. And yet, the police are still not tying any of these together. They don't believe that any of these have anything. Bullshit. I call bullshit on this on 100%.
Right. So yeah. So officially, somebody did something to me.
Andalyn asked a good question. Maybe you can answer, Jeff. Were you robbed as well?
No, and that's an interesting twist to the story. There was nothing taken from my person. So that is odd. The only thing that you could theorize that if they were throwing me off this bridge because they thought I was overdosing or they thought something was wrong with the situation, at that point you don't necessarily want to rob the person because that makes it a criminal investigation if they find me dead and robbed.
There you have all the accidental drownings.
Shit.
All of the guys found in the lake, they all had their wallets on them.
Right.
Therefore, accidental is not robbery. So
Right.
if the guy's doing this, let's say, is to rob someone, if, Jeff luckily survived, but if he didn't, they would leave his money. So the cops wouldn't open a criminal investigation.
Huh.
Jeff actually alerted
makes
me to
sense.
that. That's very smart thinking. I mean, you think about this all the time.
But it does make sense, yeah. And like I said, I landed, I would say 5 feet from a river that I would have obviously drowned if I was in that condition and floated down to Lady Bird. So it
Which
seems like they
is
made
their
this-
spot,
they
right?
made
Like,
this spot, yeah.
it almost sounds like that's how that might be the pattern of that exact location if it will feed right into
Mhm.
Lady Bird.
The bridge, because a lot of guys aren't found for a week later. I've been seeing,
Right. So
drowned and dead, and a lot of the deaths, the medical examiner says that they're drowning because the water in their lungs and
Right.
so they're basically drowned.
right, I would have probably died from drowning. That would have probably been the cause because I would have been
Right.
And then they would have said it was a suicide, because that's what the APD's doing. They're saying all of these cases are a suicide.
That's not entirely
Sound
true.
the alarms. Something monstrously merry is coming to town. Introducing Bones Call.
Wow.
I hate to be argumentative with this guy that's doing this. Bless him for doing it. But No, they're really not. They are calling all of them accidental drownings, but very few of them are they calling them suicides. So that's not entirely true, but I guess that's why I'm here. We're gonna fix that.
Wow.
Jeff, I want to show you something right quick. This isn't this isn't Austin Ladybird Lake. This is in Chicago. I was telling you about
Yes.
this. Check this out. This is in 2022. These are how many people have died just in this one area in 2022, and they're all men except
one.
one. It looks like, but every one of them are men, just like in the Ladybird case.
Were they all all around, you know,
The lake
our
area.
age, all around? Were they all people?
Yeah, just normal people at the bars, you know.
Yeah,
Normal
that's
people at
what
the bars.
like they were all kind of out and about. And that's how they were.
Yeah. So here's this is speculation, but this is kind of what we're thinking, or at least I'm thinking. It is maybe an organization like a cartel doing something like this, but they pray.
So, you know, I hope y'all that saw that, all the people that have died, and I've mentioned Chicago as being one of the areas where this is also happening. There's been 3 or 4 other states that I know of. But that was just a map on the ones that's been happening in Chicago, and that's the recent ones. Seems to be happening in various states. And it's happening to men, and it's happening to people around the same age as these people. And they're just odd drownings. Something is going on, not just here in Texas, but Chicago, Michigan, New York, and wherever else these are pop. Nashville, I think, now is starting to see a few. Whoever they are, whether it's one person, 2 people, a group, a cartel, as he started to say, whatever. Whoever they are, they're being pretty specific. So let's go on with this.
There's different spotters. Like, let's say they'll have someone in the bar looking for a guy. It's always a guy that may have some money, you know, that they could steal.
I don't think
Someone
it's
drugs
stealing.
them somehow. It may be the bartender doing
Yeah.
it. It may be something else. I've seen in one report that people are vaping. If you accept a random vape from somebody, some of
Ooh.
those are rigged
Never
with
thought
the
about that.
GHB and stuff like that.
Oh,
They
whoa,
separate
I
you.
would not have ever thought of that.
They separate you, and then someone on the outside takes over where there's no cameras. Still to this day, there's no cameras.
Yeah, that's what Jeff's sister just commented. He was found in an area that had no cameras. All down West 6, there are cameras except where he was.
I mean, cameras are not expensive these days.
No.
You would think that Austin PD would put up cameras.
Why would you leave a blackout area?
Here's one
Especially with the number of bodies
It's
that
not
are being
very far. And like
found.
I said, it's not even 2 blocks from where the last bar that we were at. It's not like I went far.
Yeah. Sometimes this does happen, like the chief of police, like they don't want 20 murder raps on their docket, right? No one's going to come to Austin and party anymore.
Yeah.
And go and visit the town. But at the
it's
same
easily
time,
solvable. Even if they didn't want to come out and say that there's a gang, killers, whatever, putting up the cameras in that location would solve a lot.
exactly.
And they may, I just saw a comment there that the culprit would have to know that there's a lack of cameras there, but they could easily know that, right? It might be specifically why they take people there.
Absolutely. I mean, it's not like they're, cameras are, you can spot them anywhere unless it's
Like,
a
they're not
body
hiding.
cam.
Yeah.
Do you think it was because you're a big dude, and you have your drink. I'm the same way. I kind of keep it with me, probably holding it in your hand the whole time.
Typically hold on to it, yeah.
Yeah. So how would someone get it in there? We know they did. You got the tox report to, say it, but
Right.
that makes me kind of think it might be a bartender.
Bartender, I read that too, and I hadn't thought about that, but I guess, yeah, that could be.
I have been seeing reports on this about I've seen different videos, different reports about how literally even if you're holding your drink in your hand, if your head turns for a second, like to look at something else, like you turn to glance at something and turn back, in that second that somebody has been turning, actually showed in a video, I've seen the videos of it, the person sitting next to them has actually poured something in the drink without them even seeing it or anybody else paying attention. Because think about the atmosphere in a bar. It's loud, you usually got music, people talking, different things going on, there's a hustle and bustle to it. Somebody sitting next to you, if your head is turned for a second, you go to look at something, you get distracted for a second, that's all it takes is that 1 second to put something in your drink. So
I guess Austin is unique in that you can be a bartender. Basically, you get a license to bartend at multiple bars. So if there's an opening at one bar one night, you can move to that.
Oh, that's screwed up.
Yeah, so a lot of bartenders, they might not actually know the people that well. They're just there for the night to fill in or whatnot. So could be that, and maybe we were sitting or standing at a table and I set it down or went to the bathroom and, I won't, like I said earlier, I won't say that I'm super careful with my drink. I do typically hold it, but I'm not really on the lookout for somebody trying to roofie me. I should be. I mean, I guess it should be now.
Yeah.
It's just crazy that they got you away from your whole party. Which if you were just with one person, it may be harder to pull someone away. But you said you were with, 16 people?
Yeah, 12 or 15.
12 or 15?
A lot of guys.
Jesus, man.
I think
that brings me to another story from one of the other videos we were watching. He was out partying with people. Like the last video we were watching was somebody that was out with one of these people, and it was a group of guys, like 5 to 10 guys, I don't remember the amount. And one guy just kind of disappeared from the flock. You know what I'm saying? So that's kind of what happened to him. So they're doing something. Somebody's doing something to lure these men away from their group or whatever. Then they're getting their drugs and their drink, and then they're killing them. I think they're killing. I have no proof of this. I'm not claiming it to be true. I personally think that people are luring these men away, drugging their drink. And then as they're staggering out to get air, because sometimes like if you're out drinking with your friends and you start feeling a little sick, instead of going to the bathroom, sometimes you'll step outside for a minute. You'll say to your friends, hey, I need to get some fresh air or whatever for a second. You go out and get some fresh air. And then I feel like that possibly something's happening to them once they're outside. I think so. But if we keep listening to him, maybe we'll find out how right I am.
I think that almost might be easier though, right? Because if you're with a single person or two people, that you have an intimate conversation.
Yeah.
If you're a huge group, everybody's mingling and talking to this group and that group and splitting
off.
off.
Easy to lose track of one. Or to assume one's with somebody else, right? Like, oh, he must be over there with my buddy.
Oh yeah, Jeff must be with Brad. Yeah, he's fine.
Right.
So what's your life like now? Because this is, I told him earlier, it's an honor speaking to you because you survived this horrific ordeal, and also a lot of guys, they're probably more survivors, a lot more, but they're scared to come out, and it's very brave of what you're doing right now.
Or to even think too of like what could have actually happened, you know?
No shit.
Maybe
not
not everybody got a toxicology report to prove some of this stuff, you know?
Yeah, that's a lot of people don't get tested, right? So you never even know. But I really appreciate that. Obviously it's been a while. It happened 9 months ago, and I really initially didn't.
Oh, I must have hit something. Sorry.
Want to talk about?
Yeah, I did it again. I'm stupid
A lot
tonight.
of my friends were like, "Let's go down there and figure out who did this to you. Let's start an investigation. The police. We don't need the police."
That would be me.
And so many people were reacting that way, which I appreciate it. I know that's the way they're showing their love. But at that time, I was so overwhelmed, I just didn't even want to think about it. But really what got me going again was early last month in February, they found another guy in the same place,
Mhm.
in the
Wow.
same scenario. And I just said, you know
So
what?
if he said early
there's
last
anything I can do to
month,
help, I
that
don't-
would have
unfortunately,
happened
like
sometime
I-
in February.
like I said, I
So
don't
this happened to him
remember
in
much.
March.
So I can't identify anyone, but I can at least tell my story of where I was and how it went down and the timing of things, and maybe they can correlate some things together to try to connect dots and figure out if there's something they can do to stop this from happening to someone else.
Yeah.
Apparently not.
one of
dude.
the guys-
Still happening.
Jason John,
Uh-huh.
30-year-old. This was February 5th,
February.
2023, wee hours in the morning. Now, he's deceased, but the last time he was seen, it was by a Good Samaritan, and he was at the lake vomiting violently. So it's did you feel any? Do you know if you vomited or anything, or had intense sweating? Because this guy was most likely drugged, and then he was found obviously in the lake a week later. The medical examiner says it was classified as accidental, but we know. I
I'm
mean,
not sure. I may have. I don't know if there was any, vomit on me at the time. I'm not sure. I almost think there was, but I'd have to go back and ask my sister, who's a nurse, who came down and was kind of my savior for the whole period while I was there.
yeah.
Thank
Oh, so
goodness.
you stayed in Austin for your whole medical treatments?
Yeah, I was there for 2.5 weeks.
Oh, God, the worst place,
Which
last place I want to be.
It was hell. All I wanted to do was go home. Ask my sister. Every day I was like, I think we're good now, right? Let's can we just get I want to go out of here.
Oh my God.
I don't blame you for that.
Jesus.
Well, Megan
Walking
had said a couple of comments too, like it's happening. Something similar seems to be happening in New York City.
Yep.
And she also had shared that Austin notoriously has an under-resourced police department.
Oh.
So that might be another
Sure,
reason
as
why they're
well.
not looking to call attention
Mhm.
to this problem, right?
I mean, what can we do? I mean, you know what I was thinking earlier. This is what they should require in Austin. They should put up, if their bar, the decedent was the last seen at their bar, they should put photos of the people, and it's like, this guy was last seen here, to just to
Information.
warn people.
Well,
Right.
of course they're not going to do that.
I know
though.
they're not going to do that, but it's still like,
I think there should be some responsibility if
oh yeah,
last seen at your establishment, you either overserved them or
yeah.
somebody did something illegal to them at your establishment. So
Mm.
And in most cases, it's probably, I'm telling you, I think a lot of guys wake up just completely like, what happened? And then they have no money, their bank accounts are withdrawn. So in most cases, it seems like it goes smoothly, so to speak.
right.
But it's
yeah,
only
right,
these,
right. Yeah.
yes, it's only these cases where whoever was doing this, I'm just speculating, but they're like, oh, Jeff, this guy he's convulsing, let's just throw him off this bridge,
So your theory
Dude.
on this is it's not necessarily someone looking to drug someone, throw them off the bridge.
It's not a serial killer.
Right.
because there's
That just might be an unfortunate outcome occasionally when their plan goes.
Sorry, I hate to interrupt, but I want to do this before I forget, or in case I forget before I sign off. This is the Talk Murder to Me podcast. So if you want to go by, find their channel, show them some love, that would be great. This is for them because they did this work. Talk Murder to Me podcast.
South.
Yeah.
They have a plan B.
Again, I'm truly sorry this happened to you, but also, geez.
so
Well,
glad
thank you.
you're okay.
I feel very lucky to be alive, and I'm trying to live life to my fullest now because I kind of almost feel like I got a second chance, So
Jesus.
Heck
glad
yeah.
to be around. I got some cool scars to show the ladies now.
You could get your scars, make a cool tattoo out of your scars. I know somebody that had brain
Thought about
surgery
that.
and had done something
Yeah.
with his head.
Like a cool
Yeah.
train track or something.
Yeah, there you go.
Wire maybe.
You can do something pretty cool with it. I'm sure it looks pretty rad. You've got some serious street cred from that. But damn, I cannot get over that.
Survived death, man. 25 feet. Jesus.
Damn.
Oh, Holy shit.
I do not like heights, so yeah, I can't even imagine that. Yeah, it's
I mean,
Yeah, no,
what was,
no kidding.
what did your family? They were probably like, oh my god, no.
yeah, it was. I mean, my family and my friends were amazing. Like I said, my sister was there the whole time, and then she took off work. She's an OR nurse actually, and
Mm.
I was able to stay at her place for the next month after I got home before I could go back and live on my own. So that was great.
Jeez, man.
My friends were all there to support. A few of them came down, including Megan, who's on the line here, with her boyfriend, who's my friend, and also, a group of people started a GoFundMe to help pay for my sister, lost in salary while she was taking off work to support me, and all the legal bills all the medical bills, obviously, that add up. So.
And she says on the I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. Can you read what she says after he's done? Sorry.
Jeff's fall was so incredibly severe, his life was hanging in the balance on life support. For days, he lost his spleen, had 3 surgeries, went in acute respiratory distress. As I flew down, I didn't know if he was alive. Damn.
Jeez. You have some great family members, I can already tell.
I do. I had a huge amount of support. My parents didn't come down, but they're older. They don't fly too much, so
Yeah.
they were supporting me the whole time. And no, I really blessed that the support that I had. I don't know that I could have done it without them, but I also was, when I came to and I figured out what was going on, which took me about a day or two. I was determined to get out of there and survive. So still here.
This story is intense, man.
So is there a lot of media attention around Lady
Nope.
Bird Lake right now?
Nope.
It's all suicides and drownings.
So for right now, like, we're gonna be the ones pushing this one forward.
I mean, this isn't, no, I didn't find this case.
No, I know somebody requested it.
Yeah, it's, our friend Tram on here, she's also like our PR person. She found it on TikTok.
I think Martin also requested this story. He said,
Yeah, and because
"Gotta give Martin credit where credit is due."
people are thinking that there's a serial killer, and I knew that wasn't the case. I mean, number one, there's like all the bodies that were found, they're not, they weren't sexually assaulted, because we've done cases like that
Right.
where and it's all guys. That's the first thing you would think of, and a lot of them, they weren't robbed, stuff like that. There's like no clear MO.
I do still think it's kind of a head scratcher to me that men are the ones being targeted. It's just due to, like, it's not
Right,
easy.
Sure, you would think it would be potentially easier to
Target a female, a young female
five-year-old,
at a
a 5-foot-tall female rather than a 6'2",
Yeah.
So that is interesting. But I also think that this drug that's becoming more common now that's being used is so strong that it's not like they're dealing with me anymore. They're dealing with
Yeah.
like a zombie.
Yeah.
So
Jesus Christ, dude. A 6'3" zombie. Holy Jesus. It,
sounds dangerous.
I mean, yeah, it's like I still question, like, that seems difficult, but
they better be glad you didn't come too, man. You would have.
They didn't give me any uppers. They're making sure that wasn't going to happen.
yeah, no shit.
And Megan says, and Amy is an absolute queen.
Is that your sister? Is Amy your sister?
Amy's my sister, yeah.
There you go. We had to make sure we
A
shout.
lot of our supporters on live chat are probably thinking, is this guy single or?
Trying to, like, who's up in Massachusetts?
Jesus. Well, man.
Shreem had said that a lot of us that are looking into these cases, there's an alarming amount of jokes and backlash towards them being male victims. That's interesting.
Huh.
Yeah, and there's a lot of what I've seen on there's some Facebook groups where people talk about it. That's actually how we connected here, John and I. But yeah, there's a lot of people who are saying, oh, it's some sort of closeted gay thing, and these guys are sneaking off. But I'm just like, I don't know how this even is. First of all, I'm completely heterosexual, so I know that wasn't the case here. But I also don't know how that's even. Why is that
Because-
even this? Just because we're all guys?
Yeah, because but then you look at the autopsy report and there's no sexual trauma to anything, so that gets ruled out. But also the GHB. Well, we've done quite a few serial killers where that's the MO. They'll basically, Stephen Port, the guy in Canada. What's the guy in Canada? I can't remember his name. But yeah, they would exact same thing. This guy in Canada would GHB men, and this was at gay bars. That's why I had asked earlier.
That might be the times that it's happened previously.
Yeah, so they see all men doing this, but this is something
Nothing
that
to do
we've
with
never
that.
seen before. It seems like it's not just one person, it's many people doing this. And they're all kind of in
And
it
it could
together.
be the multiple cities could just be different groups who figured out, hey,
Yeah.
we can use this drug and completely incapacitate people.
Yeah, because we did a story where, and this is happening a lot too. Like women of the night prostitutes and even strippers, they'll fentanyl their clients, get them all screwed up, and then steal their money. And we did that one where she actually did it and killed 3 people, 3 Johns from doing that.
Yeah.
So it's like the same thing, just using fentanyl instead of GHB. But I mean, and also I got to mention real quick, I saw that one of the biggest GHB underground dealers was in Houston. It was masquerading as a fireworks operation,
Jesus.
but they were distributing GHB and this new stuff called GDO or something. It's like stronger and it gets out of your system right there in Texas.
Right, which leads you to think, yeah, that maybe that's why the uptick, just because the drug is so much more available now.
Yeah.
Drugs like it.
More boxes,
Well,
more
I
options.
think this is where we're going to leave this tonight. I think that's where we're going to leave it. That was a survivor. I thought that would be an interesting take on this. That was a survivor because I don't think there's been any other survivors. There was a young man, Christian Pugh, that I think survived for a few days, but ended up dying later. But that's to my knowledge, the one we just saw is the only survivor that we've had on this. And we saw the map about Chicago, and somebody's mentioned New York, somebody else has mentioned Nashville. So yeah, this is a thing. This isn't just happening in Texas. It's happening in various cities, various states, but it's happening to men. And if you go back and look at the pictures, even the ones that aren't Hispanic, most of them still have darker hair, dark eyes, whatever. So this is something happening. This is in almost every area that I can come up with. This is happening, and the police are going, nope, it's just drowning. It's not a big deal, nothing to worry about, nothing to see here. And that's just not, that can't be correct. And as I mentioned earlier, I want to backtrack a little bit so that we fully understand the body that was found the other day is a paddle boarder. It is a man, but it is a paddle boarder, so probably absolutely no connection at all. I don't want people walking away and saying, because it's not. I'd heard about it. I wanted to do some research on it. I found out who he was, when he was found, what he was doing. It's a paddle boarder, so probably absolutely no connection at all. But these are happening, like I said, in different towns, different states. They're getting their drink roofied. They're staggering out of the bar, or they're stepping out for some cool air. Because sometimes, like I said, when you're feeling sick or whatever, you want to go outside, you want to get some fresh air, and then something happening to them. So now we've heard from a survivor. Now, I don't remember. I didn't check. I'm sorry. This is my bad. I didn't see how long ago this happened. Let me take a quick look real quick and see if it pulls up, or at least how long ago this happened. Okay, so it was 11 months ago. So about a year ago. Okay, so yeah. He would be one of the more recent ones because this has been over a span of like 2.5 years. So if this was a year ago for him, still pretty recent for him. I wonder if he has nightmares, if he has trauma over it, if he's, anything like that. Anyway, so we did see this tonight. We did talk about the paddleboarder that died, but we also believe there's no connection. That would have been just a drowning. But there's a bunch that aren't. there's a bunch of drownings that are happening, and they're not accidental and they're not suicides. They're being killed. So now the same thing I talk about every time we talk about this. Why? Who, what, when, why? Is it a group? Is it one person? Is it two people? Are they getting them they're getting them at the bars? Are bartenders involved? Are Uber drivers involved? What the fuck is going on here? That's what I want to know. And I'm sure these families want the same answers. So we're going to wrap it up tonight. I will be back Wednesday for something. I won't be back next Friday because my daughter will be here. I'm looking forward to seeing her. Excuse me, I'm sorry. I won't be back next Friday, but I'll be back the Friday after that. Anyway, that's it for tonight. I want everybody to have a happy birthday or a happy anniversary or whatever I've missed. Hope you had a good one. If you got one coming up, I hope you enjoy it. My birthday's coming up in May, the end of this month, so there's that. But yeah, we're wrapping up. I love everybody. I want everybody to be careful. I want you to make good choices, look out for each other, keep everybody safe. Bugging, and especially if you're in Austin, Texas, apparently. No, not just Austin, like a lot of places. But so yeah, and we're gonna work more, not just, of course, not on the Austin cases, but I'm also gonna be covering the cases in other states. We have a little bit already, but not into great detail. I would like to get into more detail about the other states. I was going to cover Chicago ones tonight, but I found out about a paddle border, and I wanted to cover that, and then I found out about the one survivor, so I thought we'd talk about that. But if nothing else happens by the time the next time I do these, we'll start working on other states, and I think Chicago will probably be next because we already saw a map tonight. So I think we're going to head there. Anyway, y'all have a beautiful and blessed night, a wonderful weekend. I will see everybody on Wednesday, and I love you.